I figured, last week I got on this similar topic, John, but talking about the NFL and talking about Aaron Rodgers. And I think it's really important because a lot of people are looking at, they've gotten tired of Aaron Rodgers, feels like anyway. I think a lot of people were like, well, this guy didn't even do all that well, really. He got hurt with the Jets, and then he comes back and he had an okay season. He had a lot more than an okay season. And you and I were talking about that, John. Threw 28 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. I would say that's a lot better than an okay. As a matter of fact, that's almost exactly the same numbers that he had, including yardage and everything else, his final year with Green Bay. So I look at this and I find it pretty interesting. I think Mike Tomlin knows defense as good as any coach there is. And the one thing that he's probably never been as strong at, John, has been on the offensive side. Well, they went out and got DK Metcalf. I think that was a huge get for them because that gives them an opportunity. He's a monster of a receiver. Hell, the guy's as big as most tight ends. They've got a really good tight end. They've got a great backup tight end. They've got a nice offensive line. They've got some really good running backs with the Steelers now. I'm starting to think more and more about the idea that with Aaron Rodgers, with an actual quarterback, because here's the thing. Try to name me who the last couple of quarterbacks were over the last couple of years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it's really tough to find. But the reality is they've got this great defense. They've put together an offense. They probably shook things up more than they've ever done at Pittsburgh with Tomlin as the coach. And he's been there a hell of a long time now. I really think that these guys are all in on this year. And with Rodgers' age and everything else, and who knows what he does if he does anything after this year. But I'll tell you what, John, I saw some highlights just the other day, and the guy is slinging the ball just as good as ever. They had some really exciting throws that they were showing on Twitter and everywhere else. Pretty amazing. And I think that they haven't seen anything like Aaron Rodgers for a really long time playing for the Steelers.
Right. Maybe never, Pete.
Maybe
is
never.
The answer. Because, I know with 4 Super Bowl rings and nothing but respect for Terry Bradshaw. And I obviously am both a fan of him as a media guy as well as his career with the Steelers. But Pete, you want to put his stats against Aaron Rodgers' stats? It's not at all close. But for whatever reason, he decided to call Aaron Rodgers a joke. That was back in May when I guess it might have been more of a joke, Pete, because they were going back and forth. Is he going to sign? Isn't he going to sign? And maybe he was frustrated, and maybe that's why he said that. But I thought Aaron kind of handled it in a classy way, Pete, because he said, just as I did, that Terry's a legend. He's won 4 Super Bowls. He had a great career in the media as well, still has a great career in media. But like a lot of people, he says, he doesn't know me. So he said, I'd like to get to know him. Rather than ripping him and saying, I'll put any of my seasons up against any of Terry's seasons. He didn't say that. He said, I just think he should get to know me. And maybe there's a lot of crap about him out in the press, especially about vaxing and all the rest of it, or ashwagandha or whatever it might be, Pete, that people just want to think that's all Aaron Rodgers is about. He's, this California weirdo and all the rest. 3-time MVP, even on a crappy Jets team, he threw for 28 touchdowns, like you said, Pete. Were the interceptions higher than his career average? Yes. But was he under pressure almost as much as Caleb Williams? Yes. So I give him a little bit of a break there. And I think they might actually develop a little bit of a relationship here, Pete.
Yeah, and they should. They should, because they're both great. Different eras of football, throwing at a heck of a lot more than Terry did when he was there, and different running back situations and all that. But the one thing that's always been there is the steel curtain, the Steelers, the unbelievable defense, which they still have, and they've paid a lot of money to keep it going. So that ought to be pretty interesting too. All right, John, I just thought we had to focus on this for a second too, because now that we're past the All-Star break and all the rest of the things in Major League Baseball, how about the New York Yankees? Now, they've had a bad run of late, right? They're 4-6 in the last 10. But as much as you know how much I love that Shohei Ohtani, the guy can do everything. And he is special beyond words. But a guy who's also pretty damn special, nobody I've seen in a while, Aaron Judge. First of all, he is a mountain of a man. I mean, the guy's like, 6'7", 270 or something like that. Great shape, great looking guy, does a lot of, everything he needs to do. He's a true Yankee, right? He right now is sitting there, John, with the top batting average in Major League Baseball. The number one, not some guy who's got a really good average. He's 342. So not so bad. He's got 37 home runs. He's ranked number 3. He's got 85 RBIs. He's ranked number 3. He's number 1 in hits with 129. This guy is an absolute machine. He's been a machine. He's really, really special player. And kind of like Shoho, John, I just urge people, not that I get nothing out of it, but I would say to people, hey, look, if you live in Milwaukee or somewhere outside of Milwaukee and you're going to play the Yankees, holy crap, go see Aaron Judge play. This guy is great. I've seen him in person against the Twins. The guy's absolutely unbelievable by size and by the numbers that he puts up. And, usually a guy who's hitting that well, John, when you talk about their average, they're not usually going to be hitting home runs. This guy does it all. So he's a pretty damn special player. And I don't know. What do you think? I mean, he's probably one of the few baseball players where I'd say he's maybe underpaid for what he's doing right now.
Oh yeah. And Pete, he gets to rest up a little, so he'll be coming back with fresh legs in 10 days because they just put him on the DL. But it's a right flexor strain, rather than something more serious. So this is a guy that, he would be out there playing hurt, Pete, but they're doing the right thing. They're sitting him down for 10 days so that he can come back as strong as he left. Because obviously tough guys like him sometimes want to play through those injuries. And a lot of times that's not the smart move, especially if you want this guy to take you deep into the playoffs and maybe win it all, because Ohtani wants to repeat, and he might. But if they get Judge back and he's the Aaron Judge that he's been in the first half prior to this injury, Pete, I think they're the team to beat. Absolutely.
Yep, they're special. The Mets are playing up to the caliber that they get paid for sure. So there's a lot of fun things going on in baseball right now, I think. It's pretty cool. Lastly, John, we got to touch on this one because you're directly part of it, but with Colorado connections that you've got. But Deion Sanders. So what in the world is going on for this poor guy? I mean, it was a couple of years ago, right? Or a year and a half ago, whatever it was, where a piece of his foot, they had to take off a piece of his foot or something like that. And, he's had some things going on. They had a really good year last year, relatively speaking, and everything else. And obviously he's got the kids and all these wonderful things. He's got a great recruiting class, but he's struggling with something, John, that we're going to find out about today, whatever that is. You have any thoughts on what that is? Probably not. I don't know what it is, but he's got something that is definitely, important enough for him that he actually left Colorado, went back down to Texas, hung around down there, probably was doing whatever medical things that he needed to do and all that. And I have no idea what it is, but, prayers go out to the guy for sure. But that's got to be pretty tough because we're starting football right now, man. I mean, the NFL's already a week in, and college football, these guys are getting ready to roll pretty damn quick. So what do you think? Do you have any thoughts about this whole thing with Deion? And he's got this, he's got his great contract, everything else, but he's got to be healthy, number one.
Yeah. He's got these blood clots in his femoral artery in his left leg, Pete. Mm-hmm. And like you said, because of these blood clots and what that's done to the circulation and so forth in that leg, he's had to be gone from Colorado for a long time. And people were speculating, well, is he going to return? And we'll know more when the rest of this press conference comes out, Pete. But basically he said, and I think I'm quoting it from ESPN, Pete, he said he made out his will when he left. Wow. So that sounds like a guy who's seriously worried about what the doctors might say. He's meeting with the doctors for the press conference. So again, one of those situations where you certainly hope a great player like this and an inspirational athlete will get a little extension on his time on the planet rather than having it cut short. He's only 57, Pete.
Yeah.
So he's a relatively young man, but when you see him, he looks much older. And a lot of that's because of these health issues, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's a terrible thing. We see it to a lot of people, and when you see it with a celebrity, it's even that much more in front of us and everything else. So it's interesting because he is a celebrity. The guy, one of the greatest athletes of all time. I don't think he's the greatest. I always reserve that for Bo Jackson, but he is a special athlete and a hell of a good, obviously football player, punt returner, all those kind of things. And he's proven himself to be a guy who can coach football pretty well because he's elevated his game pretty well over the years. So pretty impressive, and our prayers do go out to him, and hopefully whatever they have to say, there is some sort of cure or something that we can hold on to or whatever. But that's definitely a shame.